On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Like, for example, I look at, and I had a conversation on my channel about prenups, right? And the biggest opposition seems to come from women when the very nature of a woman is to be hypergamous, which means that she looks at the whole idea behind finding a mate as a business proposal from its very inception. Women are hypergamous, which means that they're going to go with the best option available. And I've been saying it since day one. Women date up and men date down. And when you look at that dynamic, you have to understand that subconsciously or consciously, women by default are looking at relationships from a business perspective in its entirety. So then it's hypocritical to come back and say, well, love this and love that, or so on and so forth, when that don't align with the very thing that you're seeking in the first place.
I'm going to start it off with the news. Bill Gates. Bill Gates is definitely heavy in the news right now. And guess what? We learned some truth. I was listening to Anton's platform, and he spoke about it. And also something else that I noticed, and Anton did point it out, is that Kevin Samuel's been speaking about this all the time, is high value men don't cheat, they exercise their options. And clearly Bill Gates had options. And that's something that we've been telling you guys quite so often right now, is that high value man or man that focus on their purpose, that are driven, that they get the respect, and they have the option to exercise their options. So I want to kind of dive into this topic first right here, as far as with the Bill Gates. When you guys first heard it, what were your thoughts? I'm gonna start with you, Chicago Gorilla.
It wasn't no surprise. I mean, you know, they've been married, 27 years. You know, they got business together. They got the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation together. But when you know, when I first heard it, it wasn't no really big surprise. I mean, you look at the list of like the world's richest people, and you see who's still married and who's getting divorced or whatever. So it looks like they had their affairs lined up in order. They released a joint statement, and if I'm not mistaken, she got 1.8 in her coffers that same day. So, well, no big surprise to me. No big deal.
Go to UK. Bill Gates exercising his options, being able to have the option. How you feel about that?
So I was actually talking to my mom about this yesterday, and I think she said she read that he like hooked back up with some woman from like one of his exes from a long time ago. So like it's another, you know, probably a little bit older woman. Maybe things were just going bad for them. I don't know. But when you get to that level, I feel like, and where you can just have whatever you want, you make choices based on whatever you want. I am not surprised. I don't think that Melinda is mad or anything. I think that the time has just come, and that's cool for them, I guess.
Time to see you shaking your head. You don't agree?
I'm just observing right now, but we're going to find out. We're going to get down to the bottom of this one. I was looking forward to this day. I was absolutely looking forward to the day.
I don't think I know enough about the situation, but that's what I heard about him.
Well, you need to speak more about what you do know. Like what we do know is that he's able to exercise options. He's in that position where, you know, she can't trip. So that's something that you can speak on. Courtney.
Yeah.
Bill Gates exercising them options. What are your thoughts?
I saw, Anton, your show that you did about the breakdown, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. I saw that you got digged in more information about, you know, this woman that he was with and he exercised his options to be with her. They were in an arrangement. And I thought it was kind of awesome because we spoke about this not even a month ago about high-powered men, high-value men with money. They have arrangements and the women are okay with it. Not only are they okay, they usually pick the woman or, you know, they have a certain agreement. So I was surprised. I was surprised of the divorce because they already had a set agreement. The woman, and, you know, if I'm wrong, Anton, definitely let me know because you did your research on it. I read a little bit about it as well. the woman was already there, the ex-girlfriend, before he even got married, and she actually told him to marry her. So it was an arrangement. They had it for almost 30 years. So because of that, because it was agreed upon, because it was so it happened for a very long period of time, I was actually quite surprised that they get divorced. And I don't know what she would divorce him about. I guess we'll find out over time. But they had an agreement. She agreed with it. They had trips together. So yeah, I was completely surprised.
Hey, Anton, do you have some information about as to why they got divorced?
No, I don't have any information as to why they got divorced. But I'm gonna let Kim speak, and then ladies first, and then I'm gonna do what I do as usual. So,
all right, Kim, I know you heard all the great news. Well, not great news, but you heard the news about Bill Gates, him exercising his options, him having an agreement with his wife, him being able to have some chill time with his mistress. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't understand if they had an agreement.
They had agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been confirmed they had an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't understand the divorce. Then that makes me wonder. Maybe there was something more to it than that. That maybe we don't know about, or that's not in the media. Because of with the agreement, why get a divorce then if he didn't do anything that she already should have expected anyway. So that makes me think that something else was involved.
Okay, I want to ask you this. When it comes to high value men, do you feel that as though they can exercise their options a little bit more? Or men, it may not be high value men because everybody doesn't fall in that category, but men that's on their purpose, men that are successful, that's been consistent throughout the years, do you feel like they have the choice to be able to exercise the options?
I mean, I think they can do whatever they want. But if they make a commitment to someone where they are agreeing to be faithful and they make that promise to someone, then no. I think it depends on who it is that they're marrying and what kind of promise did they make to that person. So can men do those things because they're high value? I mean, yeah, sure. They can do whatever. Men can do anyone can do whatever they want. But I think the problem comes in when you've made that promise to someone and then you break that promise, when you're lying about it, and those types of things come into play. So that's where I think it gets.
Where did you get the lying part from and promise? Where did that come from?
I'm just saying in general, when people get married, if they promise to be faithful, they promise to be loyal to each other. That comes in when you have conversations with the person that you're marrying. I mean, if that's
but faithful even in the vows, the faithful in the vows, the context matters, because faithful, you got to understand that when these vows were conceived, when they were put in place, right? Mm-hmm. Faithful, that's more of a newer thing, number one, because for the longest time, dating back to who knows when, men have always had multiple wives. This whole monogamy thing is a newer thing. That's number one. But faithfulness does not necessarily relate to you being with one woman. You can be faithful to our union. You can be faithful to the fact that I'm always going to make sure that you're taken care of for the rest of your life. You can be faithful to the idea that we are understanding that marriage is a business, which is why you have a contract, which is why you have a license in the state. Marriage is a business first. And the sooner that women understand that, along with the idea that we are not the same, it's not just that anyone can do anything type of thing, because for the longest, if you understand the business of marriage, because marriage is a business first, you would understand that women do not have as much leverage as men, which is why you see the majority of women, all of the laws is still tailored towards helping women get the most out of men, which is why men are still complaining despite all of the progress that we say we've made from the feminist movement as far as improving women's lives and their choices and their ability to do and say whatever it is they want to say. Yet we still have these archaic laws that do not align with or support the idea behind the fact that women are no longer looked at as the weaker vessel. in women's eyes. So when you take that into consideration, you also have to add the context to the conversation to make sure that we fully understand what we're talking about. Marriage is a business first, and it's not led by love. And the whole idea that we're looking at love first and the idea behind partnering is the reason why we have a huge divorce rate and people not getting married as much as they did back in the day.
So regardless of marriage being a business, which I'm not disagreeing with, regardless of love isn't first, which I'm not disagreeing with, if two people come to an agreement together and have that conversation, and the expectation is that you are the only one for me, I want to spend the rest of my life with you and only you, regardless of whatever else that you mentioned, if that conversation is being had and that expectation is there, and then they go behind your back and they're with someone else and they're lying about where they've been, they're lying about who they, what they're doing, who they're, spending this time with, that's wrong, because we had an agreement from the beginning that it was only us and you didn't.
But again, this is extras that you're throwing in. You throwing in caveats. Nobody said anything about their relationship or anybody else's relationship for that matter, because one of the things that I do agree with you is you have to be straightforward and truthful from the beginning. But nobody said that every relationship was based off the idea that it's just going to be me and you and that's it.
Oh, I didn't say that either. But I was asked, what did I think about what happened, with Bill Gates? And that's why I said, with they had that agreement. So I don't understand the
Who told you that they had that agreement? Because one of the things that was revealed was that his ex-girlfriend, who he had an agreement that he would go and visit her and spend time with her every single year, that was a part of the agreement, right? One of the things that he got permission from the ex-girlfriend that he would visit every single year to even marry the Melinda chick. So the ex-girlfriend was first, if you really want to put it in context as far as their agreement. Love had nothing to do with it. It was all business.
You don't think Bill Gates loves Melinda?
Yeah, he loves her. But see, here's the thing. Just because you love someone does not mean that that's the foundation of what it is that y'all building together.
I understand, but you just said love doesn't have anything to do with it.
Love doesn't have anything to do with the business of marriage. It doesn't.
I mean, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, we can't assume to know, like, what Bill Gates feels about Melinda or his ex, the one, that we've been talking about this whole time.
But I think the only thing that's coming up amongst the women is the feelings. I never talked about feelings in the first place. I only talked about the business of marriage.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know, too, that the ex was there before Melinda, probably still there. So there's a reason why he married her. And I'm going to assume that he didn't marry her just because of love. I'm pretty sure he loved his ex. That's why she gave permission. Yes, you need to marry her. It's a great business move. So that marriage, it shows that it wasn't about love. He married her because, again, like previous show before, she looked good on paper. It was a reason why they had to marry, for him to get assets of where he is now. So I don't believe it. He could have fallen in love with her for sure. They've been together a long time, but that was a complete business move. And the ex was there beforehand, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be there after the fact.
What you think, Chicago Rail? I see you over there.
Yeah, I'm really listening because I'm read up on it a little bit. I don't feel like I even have enough information to chime in on this particular situation. But I mean, from what I understand of the arrangement that he had with the ex and everything else, I don't think it's something that we find uncommon for that stratosphere of men. But this whole question around who gets to exercise options and things of that nature. I'm just really trying to I'm listening, and then I'm trying to figure out how that tamps down to the average person, the everyday person, the person that's going to the construction worker, the person that's working in the coffee shop. How does that translate to them? Because when you talk about the Bill Gates and that upper echelon and those people who are in the top 1%, 10%, 15%, yeah, we know. I mean, that deal that he had, to everybody's point, who's more knowledgeable about it, and for what I read too, you know, that the ex-girlfriend, the everything that was written in it is consistent with the character of who Bill Gates is, but that's a different set, a different type of man. You know, so I'm being honest. I'm listening.
Why you say it's a different type of man?
He's a man.
Top 1%, top 10%, top 15%. They move completely different.
He's still a man.
Really? Or do listen, if you worth $3 million or you worth $300 billion, you still put on your pants the same way, and you still should be looking at marriage from a business perspective first. I don't understand why it's hard to translate that into the regular guy. We see guys get hosed every single day in court and family court, the whole 9 yards. So if the way that I translate it from the regular down to the regular man is that you take the same approach, as far as, of course, the dynamics is different, and of course you can learn to love the person that you with and all that other type of stuff. But I think that we would be a lot more successful, not only as a community, but also as individuals, if we learn from the idea that marriage could be a lot more successful if we approached it and had a different mentality towards it.
I have something to say too.
Go ahead.
Okay. And just to bring it down to, the regular people, like, not in the top 1%. How many times have you heard a woman say, my God, we was together for 5 years. As soon as we broke up, he married someone within 3 months. That happens a lot. A lot of men are in love with a woman, but because she doesn't align with what he wants, but she has the passion and she makes him feel a certain type of way. However, when he's looking to marry a woman, that might not align with what he needs as far as him fulfilling his purpose. So therefore, he can be with a woman that has passion and love and all that. However, they break up and 3 months later, he finds a woman that aligns with him and marries her.
But think about it, though. Like, it makes sense. The interesting thing about it is that, like, for example, I look at, and I had a conversation on my channel about prenups, right? And the biggest opposition seems to come from women, when the very nature of a woman is to be hypergamous, which means that she looks at the whole idea behind finding a mate as a business proposal from its very inception. Women are hypergamous, which means that they're going to go with the best option available. And I've been saying it since day one. Women date up and men date down. And when you look at that dynamic, you have to understand that subconsciously or consciously, women by default are looking at relationships from a business perspective in its entirety. So then it's hypocritical to come back and say, well, love this and love that, or so on and so forth, when that don't align with the very thing that you're seeking in the first place.
Okay.
Well,
Since go ahead.
I think that who you marry is one of the biggest financial decisions you make, probably the biggest one that you make in your life. I definitely get the whole business aspect of it. I think that it's more complicated than that, though. Like, love does come into that. How you feel about the person comes into that. Your attraction to the person comes into that. Like, all those things work together. In terms of Bill Gates, I'm not even going to pretend like I know about richest man on earth problems, because I don't. But I'm assuming that him and Melinda had some kind of deal worked out. I don't know enough details, like what Chicago was saying. But she's going to be straight regardless. Like, she's not just some regular woman. She has she got all types of things going on with her. So I don't know enough about it. But in terms of very rich men exercising options, I mean, yeah, it happens. But like Kim was saying,
so let me ask you a question, Kay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
honestly?
Go ahead.
Why do you get married?
Why do people get married? I mean, different people get married for different reasons. Some people rush straight into it.
Why would you? No, not different people. Why would
you're
you
talking about
get
me?
married? Yes.
Me?
Yes.
I would get married in terms of, because the person aligns with what I'm trying to do in my life. I align with what they're doing in their life. We are working together towards building something together. We love each other. We care about each other. We have each other's best interests in mind.
But why do you need marriage for that? Everything you name, you can do without marriage. Why would you need marriage for that?
There's tons of benefits of marriage in terms of.
Oh, so now we're talking about the business aspect of it.
I just
because
said
everything you said, but I'm just saying.
I didn't disagree with you, Anton. What you
I
doing?
know, but I'm not saying that you disagree with me, but I'm using your narrative to prove a point. My point is that everything that women say when it comes to love and building together, and I want somebody to align with my principles and all of that, you don't have to get married for that. No woman has to get married for that. So I'm trying to understand for all of the women, not necessarily you, but for all of the women that have this narrative or this perspective that says that, yo, well, marriage is this, and we felt like this, and this is what we said we was going to be together or whatever. You don't have to be married for that. You can keep it moving and lay up and play house or hold hands and walk to the park and all of this other type of stuff and feel great about each other. So why do you even include marriage into that if that's not a business decision in itself?
So you're asking, like, why do some women try to act like marriage is not a business decision at all?
Why do women lead with love when they talk about marriage versus looking at the aspects of it when we talk about business?
In my experience, I don't know any women who are just like, oh, I just love them. I don't care about anything else. Like, I don't know many people like that. I'm not saying they don't exist, but that's not a common narrative that I hear.
Okay, so let me ask
you another question. Is it a common narrative that you hear?
Yes, and I'll ask Kim. Kim, does how well a guy does, how much he makes, does any of that factor into? Can he just be a Starbucks barista for the rest of his life? But he's a great person and he loves your socks off, and the fact that he only works part-time means that he can lay up under you all day. Is that cool?
No, I don't think.
Oh, what? Wow. Okay. All right, cool. I get it.
No, they lay up under me all day long. No, that's not cool.
Come on. Why not? That's love. He would rather spend his time with you than spend it at his job or doing something that would, require him to use more of his shoulders and his muscles. Why wouldn't you want him up under you all day so he can show you how much he loves you?
No, I don't want to take care. I've already raised a child.
Say that one more time.
I've already raised a child. I don't want to raise another child.
Oh, okay. I got you. So love isn't the biggest thing then, is what you're saying?
No, it's not.
It's a part of it. I think there's a lot of parts to marriage, and love is part of that, but it's not the only part. I mean, I just think there's a lot of parts.
Interesting.
I think that a lot of people equate love to a lot of things that aren't love. People equate love to commitment. People equate love to financial stability and being taken care of. People equate love to not being cheated on. But the thing is, love is literally just the feeling aspect. I don't personally think that that's the number one thing in a marriage. Absolutely not. Like, there's so many other things that need to be in place. Love is just the glue that's there when you're like, damn, like, what's going on? And it just kind of like, keeps you attached to that person, even if things are going bad or whatever. But I don't know.
The love aspect does?
The love aspect, I think, is just the thing that keeps you attracted and keeps you with that person. I don't think it's the most important thing, though, when dealing with another person. Why are you laughing?
Beautiful. This is beautiful.
What you laughing for?
I disagree.
Because I can't wait to chop this clip up and put it on YouTube and see what everybody else says. It's going to be the most phenomenal segment we ever had. I love you guys.
Why?
Hey, I love y'all. I love this audience. You guys are lit. I rock with y'all. And even though I can't read the comments right now because I'm so in tune with what Kay and Courtney in Chicago and Kim is saying right now, I can't wait to go back and look at all of the comments. You guys are phenomenal. I rock with y'all.
Well, I was going to say I disagree. I don't think love is a feeling. Love is action. It's a verb. So what you do in a relationship that's the love part. It's not the feelings. Feelings are fleeting. I can like you, love you, and then next week you get on my nerve and I can't stand to see your face. In a relationship, especially if you're in a long relationship, there's sometimes you look at that person like, why in the world did I choose you? Those are realistic things that happens in a long committed relationship. Sometimes you don't want to be around that person. That person disgusts you. Sometimes what in the world? But it's the love aspect as far as, what was being done in that relationship, the commitments, it was the action.
But commitment and love aren't the same thing because someone can love you and not be committed.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation because I do believe that you can love someone and make a mistake.
That's the same conversation.
Well, you can love someone.
Well, I'm gonna let y'all rock. Go ahead. Do y'all do?
Well, no, I'm just saying you can love someone and you can make mistakes. But love again is not a feeling.
It is because you can love someone and cheat on them. You can love someone and not, be considerate of certain things. Like people think that love means all these other things. Love is just the feeling. The other things are the other things.
Love is not a feeling.
Well, I guess it depends on the context because it's almost like looking at or defining friendship, right? Because, like for example, if you look at people from a biblical perspective and the foundation of who you are as spirituality, then your idea of what perfect love would refer back to what Jesus said, and that it said, love the world so much that he gave his only begotten son. That's the whole idea behind that love. It's called a perfect love. So it depends on the context. And I think that we probably would have to have a show in which we would have to do a deep dive into the context of what we would define as love and how we apply it to society today. But I think that according to how people today in 2021, how they say they love each other and then do each other dirty, how they say, I love you, and then they'll stab each other in the back. The whole concept of that is diluted so much to where you can't even apply that when it comes to marriage, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you talk about biblically love. I mean, if you're talking that way, love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious. Love is not boastful. That is the definition of love. None of that is a feeling, is action words. I'm not envious of you.
Well, actually, the definition of love is an intense feeling of deep affection. So that is literally the definition of love.
Hold on. Let me, hold on.
So I agree with you on that, but it is also a feeling. It is both things.
Well, let me go back, Kim, because I don't think you heard me at first. What I said, if we're talking biblically, I didn't say we're going to Webster. I said if we're talking what Anton was saying in the Bible specifically says what love is.
You did say Bible, but you also said that was the definition of love. And I said, well, actually, the definition of love is an intense feeling of deep affection.
Yeah, but
and that is literally the definition is feeling.
Let me ask you a question, Kim.
One at a time.
Do you think that the dictionary can define the definition of friendship in its entirety? Or do you think that is more to it? Do you think it's layers?
Of course, there's more to it than that. But you can't say that love isn't a feeling when that is literally part of the definition. Is there more to it than that? Yeah, I didn't say there wasn't.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If I love my family so much that I really don't feel like going to work every day to provide for them, I'm tired. It's a feeling, but I do it anyway. Is it still defined? Led by a feeling?
Like I said,
or is love doing the thing that you don't want to do when you don't want to do it in that instance?
Love can
That's not the love part though. That's not the love part though. Yes, I'm sure that's your commitment. That's your commitment to your family.
So listen,
that's your commitment and that's your duty as a man with your family.
Oh, now
you can love them.
Now we're going to duty.
There's other things other than love. People like to put love in this bubble with all the other words. And it's when love is literally the feeling aspect. Everything else is something else that has a word: commitment, duty, obligation, whatever
You
it
know
may
what, Chicago
be.
Riddler
But
next.
all of those things aren't the same as love necessarily, because there's plenty of people that love someone who don't do those things. And some people might say, no, because love is an action. No, it's a feeling. That's what love is.
I'm gonna let Chicago
Okay.
rock.
I mean, and
But
in terms of the Bible, okay, but everyone
Let's
does not
just have the
subscribe to the
conversation.
Bible.
But that's what I'm
So
saying.
what about
like
them?
the context. But that's what I'm saying is the context matters. It depends. You can't just entirely define. You can set a foundation by defining it by the dictionary. But in order to have an intelligent conversation and to be able to go through the layers of what it is that we're talking about, especially as it pertains to marriage, you can't just stand on what the dictionary is saying. You also have to take into consideration people's backgrounds. You have to take into consideration what people believe, all these other things. So what I'm saying is that to define it as just a feeling from there without taking into consideration all of the context that go along with it is short-sighted.
No, I think it's actually
Chicago Riddler, you next.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I actually, you want me go ahead, you want to go Chicago?
No, go ahead.
So I feel like this is the thing. Love is a feeling that you may have, right? It's not necessarily connected to all these other qualities that you may require in a mate. People want to say they are, but it's not. Love is the feeling aspect. If you are, let's say you, Anton, you love your family, you're going to do anything for them, whatever. There are other words to describe those things. You're committed to your family. You're dedicated to your family. You want to see the best going on for your family. People have taken love and said, oh, love means all these things. That's why when any little thing happens, they say, oh, you don't love me. And it's just like, no, someone can cheat on you and love you for sure.
Can they?
But some people disagree.
I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong, but can they? If somebody says they love you, would they cheat on you?
It depends on the person. That's the thing. Love is a feeling. Some people don't smile.
Maybe I like your teeth.
Don't smile.
Dang. Maybe I like your smile first.
Don't smile, Anton.
Go ahead, Chicago.
I do want to. I'm gonna let Chicago rock.
Yeah,
it.
Go ahead,
I
Chicago.
was going to say, like, while we were having this conversation around what love is and isn't, I think when we look at how words are used, and because context does matter, I agree in that situation. But I was also looking up, there are 4 ways that you use love in the New Testament, which is written in Greek. So I took the liberty of looking them up. Those 4 Greek words are eros, storge, philia, and agape. And most times when you're looking at love being translated in the Bible, you gotta go to the original Greek translation and see which one are they using. Are they using agape? Are they using eros? Now, each one of these words are characterized by romantic love, family love, brotherly love, and then God's divine love. So to Courtney's point, when you go to 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, you're exactly right. All those things in those 4 verses describe it's a verb, it's an action. I think, for the Western culture, we have, leveraged it more as a feeling. And I think everything back into what Anton is saying is that when you lead with the romance, when you lead with the feelings, it doesn't give you a solid foundation with which to operate and base that marriage relationship on. So that was my thought.
And I'll say this, once I do get married, I definitely want a man to love me like God specifically said what love is. I want someone to love me and be kind. The love is patient. I want that love. I don't want someone to love me because they feel like it. I need to show actions, and I would definitely reciprocate. So I'd rather have God's love than the Webster Dictionary of love.
Well, a conversation I was literally having with my girl was, what happens when the love isn't there? What anchors us when the love isn't there? What who's are you leaving? What happens? So you have to, be rooted in something bigger than yourself. And that's what marriage becomes. It's something bigger than yourself. That's what the family is. It's something bigger than yourself.